Welcome back to Grumpy Vet Garage. I'm the Grumpy Vet Dino, and today we're doing a beer review. This one is beer review number 4, and we are reviewing Hazy Beer Hug IPA from Goose Island Brewery. So before I go too far, let me go ahead and open this bad boy up and pour it in the glass. Been working on my pouring skills. I'm still not a professional. So there we go. Not a lot of head, that's sad. So, all right. Good first sip. Okay. Had some friends of the channel suggest opening up a store and selling merch. So the Grumpy Vet Garage store is now open. That's the best way really to support the channel. Of course, subscribing and liking the video is also a way to help us. But yeah, the store is open. There's multiple shirts that are in there. I'm actually wearing one right now. But the link to that store is in the description. But moving on to the beer review, Hazy Beer Hug IPA. It's a beer that this particular beer wasn't so much discovered as much as the brewing company was suggested to me as a good brewing company, a beer to get from there. So going and looking for Goose Island Brewery beers, I found the Hazy Beer Hug IPA. And of course, it is an IPA. The alcohol by volume of it is 6.8 with the IBU rating of 20. So we went over this before, the International Bitterness Unit. The benchmarks that I set to kind of compare beers to, Guinness Draught, being a stout, has an alcohol by volume of 4.2 with an IBU rating of 50. And then Corona Extra has a alcohol by volume of 4.6 and IBU of 22, and that's a lager. So according to the IBU, this is less bitter than a Corona Extra. I would disagree with that. I think it's more bitter than that. So I guess we'll take the IBU ratings from now on with a little bit of a grain of salt on whether or not they're all that accurate. Because this beer does exhibit some bitterness characteristics. Where's the beer made? Originally, the beer was made in Chicago, Illinois, and it very well may be brewed in Chicago, Illinois, but they've also expanded to another brewing location in Fort Collins, Colorado, which is also the home of New Belgium Brewery. I don't believe there's any connection between the two, but there's also beer brewed there. A little bit of the history of the brewer. So Goose Island Brewing Company was started in 1988 by a Chicago native, John Hall. He opened up a Chicago brew pub called Goose Island Brewing Company, and was just doing local brews for the beer pub. In 1995, Goose Island expanded their production. They actually made a second location, and the production was increased so that they could market to outside of Chicago, outside of just the brew pub setting which they had started in. So Goose Island, like many other brewers, they have a bit of a full spectrum of beers that they brew and sell. They have 9 different year-round brews, with 5 of them being IPAs, and 4 of those 5 being in the Beer Hug line of beers. So of those 4, they have the Neon Beer Hug, Tropical Beer Hug, Hazy Beer Hug, and then Juicy Beer Hug. They also brew, which I thought was interesting, bourbon-aged barrel stouts. So they're getting used bourbon barrels, and they're brewing a stout and storing it with those barrels to make those beers. Those beers are aged up to 18 months. and they're available on a limited basis. So it's not a year-round basis. You're not going to find all the different stouts they sell, but you should be able to find a stout if you went looking for it. Which one it is, it's hard to really tell. But this is a big company. Goose Island Brewing is distributed nationwide. So if you're in the United States and you're seeing this video, you can find Goose Island Brewing. They're also distributed all over the UK. So any of my audience that's in the UK, you can also find Goose Island Brewing over there. They have limited distribution in other international markets. So the whole brew pub idea that started the company in Chicago, where they had local brews and they sold it in the beer pub environment, they do that as well in various places around the world. Toronto, Canada, Sao Paulo, Brazil, Seoul, South Korea, Shanghai, China, and then Monterrey, Mexico. So if you're ever in any of those international locations and you like Goose Island Brewing, you very well could find it in the brew pub setting, not so much off the shelf. So getting to the taste test, you can kind of see with the pour, it's kind of like a citrusy, hazy color. I kind of like, it's almost like a citrus juice color, but not like orange, but something to that effect. It smells sweet, smells of like citrus, like orange, maybe a little bit of grapefruit. I smell mango. Additionally, they say that I should be able to smell peaches. I don't really get the peaches. It smells a little flowery, so maybe my mind is mistaking flowery for peaches, but it's a good smelling beer. The taste, it's very hoppy. A little bit of sourness to it. Bitterness too. With like citrus peel is the flavor to it if I had to describe it. But definite bitterness is why I thought the IBU of 20 wasn't really all that accurate to me. The finish of the beer is a bit dry, so it's not a smooth beer. It's got a bit of that, like a dry finish, definite bitterness aftertaste. It's not quite what I expected. And I must admit, I don't think I have a glowing review for this particular beer. I know in previous videos I talked about how I rank beers. I would buy that beer, which I did buy this beer. This beer I purchased with my own money. But would I buy that beer? Would I drink this beer at a party? Would I decline this beer if it was offered to me? Or is this beer hot trash? The beer is not hot trash, and I wouldn't outright decline this beer. It's good, but if I was at a party and somebody said, "Hey, you want a beer?" and then they had this, I might say, "Hey, what else do you have?" It's not as enjoyable IPA as I typically like. It's not bad, but I definitely don't envision me in the future spending my money to buy more of this particular beer. I haven't wrote off Goose Island Brewery. It was suggested to me by people that I respect, people that like beer. So they have numerous other beers for me to try, and I'm gonna try those beers. So maybe not try them tomorrow. But yeah, I would say this beer is firmly I would drink it at a party, but I would see what my other options are. So I might decline this beer. So, yeah. So if you like this kind of content, if you like my channel, you like beer reviews, you like the work I've been doing on my Supra, and need to get more work, like I'm doing some general maintenance right now on my Eclipse. But if you like this channel, like this content, subscribe to the channel. If you liked this video, please hit like. If you have a comment about this beer, or you know what is the Goose Island Brewing beer that I need to be drinking, let me know so that I can review that. Give me a direction, because right now, my first try didn't really pan out how I would like. Again, selling shirts. This is the first shirt right here. But I have others that are on the store, and other designs that are coming. hopefully a good beer review shirt coming out. But if you want to help the channel, going through the store and purchasing a shirt helps out the channel the most. But well, I'm gonna forget. Just because it's not my favorite beer doesn't mean we leave it in the glass. So let me go ahead and finish this bad boy. It's just it's the finish. It's the finish of the beer. It doesn't make me want to have another. Is what the which is which is sad because you want to have a beer and you want to have another, but in this particular case, not as enjoyable as I was hoping it would be. It's not trash, that's for sure, but it's not exactly the best. Well, thank you for coming and seeing me in my garage. Until next time, have a good one.